Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, PattSun, and today we're gonna be taking a look at r/NuclearRevenge, where OP ruined his cheating wife's relationship with her parents and destroyed her career. Let's begin. My wife cheated and abandoned me. My heart is holding on. Posted by Reddit user DW Decker.
I just found this group and looking forward to leaning into this for emotional support and hearing other stories. I have been married to my wife for 2 years and with her for 6. No kids and got together at 17 and I was 22. She lost her virginity to me, so finding out that she has been involved with, from what I know, 2 additional men for the first time ever in our marriage throughout the holidays absolutely shattered my heart. After secrets came out, she left and is still running with me, somewhat chasing, blamed everything on me, playing the victim. I was very abrasive last year after quitting my job and going full-time landlord with our real estate endeavors. It was just a hard and stressful year making these large changes to our lives, and she jumped ship after it got established. She tried to get out before the secrets came out, but I made it difficult by fighting and loving her. Everybody around us knows about the affairs, and now she's using shame to stay where she is and that God is telling her to leave the marriage. I am trying to not communicate with her, but she'll drop me some random messages every once in a while too. What I think is, make sure I'm still on the hook as she's running around testing the single life by wanting me present as the safety net. I have already filed for divorce because I was tired of being in limbo, waiting for her to come home, manipulated and sexually used. We have grown our net worth by $300,000 the last 2 years while married and said she only wants $10,000. No fault, 50-50 split state. I'm trying to cope, deal and accept everything that has happened. I'm hurting, depressed, no motivation, wanting to let it end, but also wanting to save it even though I may not even have a choice. Many are screaming at me to run, as she's practically giving me a free pass to get out of the marriage without getting screwed financially. She's always been a sweeter and more religious person than me, so it hurts me to see her doing this kind of spiritual harm to her soul. But I am also harming myself for being so vulnerable after the amount of neglect, abandonment, degrading, and disrespect she has displayed towards me. She has shown no efforts to save this marriage, yet throws out random stupid meaningless messages. Just having a hard time picturing life without her and always saw forever and mother of our future children. Still works at the job that the affair partner works at and pretty sure she's still fully pursuing that relationship, and why she won't come home to try and save the marriage. Still sends messages like, I love and miss you so much. I'm sorry for putting you through all this. God's telling me 2 things and I'm so lost and confused as the day gets closer. April 25th is the end of my 60-day cool-down period to contact the courts and set up the hearing. No lawyers involved. She's been super civil with me, but I miss her. Wish she was home, afraid what to do if she comes running back out of fear at the deadline. Where do I draw the line in the sand and say enough is enough? I struggle with reminiscing on what we had and I'll never find someone as good as her.
OP, you fucking donut. She's a cheater. You better hope to God that you never get involved with someone like her ever again. Now she has given you a golden ticket to get out of this marriage without getting wrecked. Go take that train out of there. But who am I kidding? I'm sure you'll be taking her back with open arms. So I'll just wait for your next post, where you found out that she has never stopped cheating on you, and you were actually raising another man's children all this time. And now for today's second story. Rule number 1. Don't cheat on me.
In 2008, I met this amazingly awesome girl in school. Let's call her Christine. I was 21 and she was just about to turn 19. We both knew what love was for the first time in our lives. We were both going to a community college, me for theater design and her for education. We lived about half an hour apart, but that was nothing more than a minor inconvenience because we spent every free moment between classes together. Come to think of it, that slight distance was actually pretty nice because being home at least forced us to focus on homework and taking care of ourselves, and visiting each other at home was that much more special. Christine graduated with her associates in 2009 and moved away to a state school to finish up her degree in early childhood special education. Like before, the distance was not a concern because it was a short train ride away and I'd spend 1 or 2 weekends a month down there with her. I proposed to her on Valentine's Day 2010. School wasn't really my thing and I ended up enlisting in the U.S. Air Force that following May and got moved halfway across the country to a place neither of us had ever imagined visiting. However, like before, we wouldn't let distance get in our way. Now it should be noted that her mom did not like me. I still don't know why, but she was always the loudest, rudest, most annoying and disrespectful cunt bag I've ever met. She was from the city and she married into a family of farmers that owned the land since the 1870s, so that may explain part of her malice. From here on, evil bitch is her mom. Another thing to know is that I have great memory, and this will be important later on in the story. Anyway, back to the military. I had a 2-week break between my training and leaving for my first and only duty station, which just happened to be over Christmas and New Year's. Even though we were engaged, we hadn't really put any consideration into actually getting married. She wanted something small with her family and cousins, and I was completely okay with going to a courthouse and getting it over with. I don't want to sound like I was trying to pressure her into that, but the way I saw it, I would be living in barracks in a few weeks and being married would get me a full monthly housing allowance, which I would save to have a wedding ceremony when we had time in another year or two. Basically, get married now, don't tell anyone, because they would all get hella upset for not being involved, and have a fake wedding ceremony that would include both of our families and friends. It turns out that because I was living in barracks, I wasn't allowed to collect the housing allowance, and when, 6 months later, they realized I was actually married, they kicked me out and made me get a house on base. Either way, we didn't get married when I was home on leave and took an Amtrak train out west. I highly recommend traveling across country by train if you have the time. The first time we were able to see each other after that was during her spring break, which was the first part of March. Christine and I finally eloped in a courthouse and spent the next few days glued to each other penis and vagina style like every young married couple should. I flew back home for a couple weeks in June, and this is when things started to unravel. Easter Seals, for those who don't know, runs summer camps for special needs kids, and my new wife volunteered to be a counselor for the last 7 weeks of the summer. The last time I saw her that summer was just after her June birthday when I dropped her off at camp. The rest of the summer was hit or miss getting in touch with her since she was on the clock 24 hours a day for 5 days a week, and I completely understood her commitment to those kids. When she was back in school the following fall, she became increasingly distant, making excuses about how her phone would randomly die at oddly predictable times every week. She flew out to spend Christmas with me in our new house, technically a shitty, mostly empty duplex, and things felt amazing like they had been. After that, however, she went back to being super reclusive like she was the previous semester. Fast forward to May 2012. I took a whole month of leave to fly home for her graduation and to help move her in with me. I barely recognized her. Every bit of Christine's communication with me was forced and so phony that I should have known what was really happening all along. She had set up what she called mock interviews with a couple grade schools near her hometown, and I actually believed that she was doing it just to get experience interviewing. What an idiot. When I finally started to catch on to how serious she was about getting a job in our home state, she broke down crying and made it seem like I was forcing her to choose between me and her career, and of course I wanted to put our marriage before anything else. Obviously I returned to base without her. A couple weeks later, I pressured her into telling me what the hell was going on. She fell in love with one of her fellow camp counselors and let the affair go on for about 9 months, with claims that she was going to tell me but didn't know when. The usual too guilty to tie your own shoes bullshit, and she honestly expected me to walk away from our relationship right then and there. No, I fought tooth and nail to hold us together for 2 months before filing the divorce. I'm skipping a bunch of sappy details here, but the divorce was filed in late August and became final that December, mandatory 90-day waiting period in my state. The pain I suffered in that one-sided relationship is something I would never wish on anybody unless they truly deserved it. Apparently, evil bitch whispered all kinds of lies to her about how I joined the military to get away from her and actually had the gall to blame me for all the crying and misery her oldest child was going through. My soon-to-be ex never admitted who was blaming me for everything, but I was really close to her dad and siblings, so I can't imagine that they would ever suspect me, but evil bitch was so manipulative that by Halloween they had all turned against me. At that point, I had it. I was near suicidal and my anxiety attacks were hitting basically every day. I was miserable, tired of being lied to, tired of the slander, tired of being the bad guy when I was the one who was attacked here. It started with sending texts to her brothers and sister saying, "Hey, I'm actually your brother-in-law. Nice to know that we don't keep secrets, right?" Christine exploded, but that was just the beginning. I wrote a 3,000-word letter explaining in every detail I could recall exactly what happened, the fact that we were married, including copies of the marriage license and certificate. our plans for the future, and how I was the only one living up to our expectations. Where she met the guy she was fucking behind my back, his name, address, phone number, camp counselor name, so Christine would have a harder time refuting it, and a bunch of other information that she made me keep secret from them. I sent copies to everyone in her extended family, well, everyone I had an address for, her roommates, the summer camp she worked at, close professors she had brought up in old conversations, and the principal of the school she ended up working at. Calling the fallout catastrophic is an understatement. Her super devout Catholic family basically disowned her, her reputation at her former school was shattered, and the tension at her new job was apparently high enough that Christine was forced to resign from her position before Christmas break started. Getting those secrets off my chest was the most cathartic moment of my life. TLDR, my ex-wife and I got married in secret but never lived together. She cheated on me for almost a year and I got her disowned by her family and forced out of her first teaching job by telling everyone she was close to every dirty little secret I could remember.
OP, I gotta admit, that was quite brutal, but completely deserved on her part. Honestly, I can never understand what the hell is wrong with people when it comes to cheating. Like, if you don't want to be together anymore, then just break up and then do whatever the hell you want. Why would you even pull this bullshit? For a safety net? An ego boost? Also, when will people learn that long-distance relationship will fail the overwhelming majority of the time? I hope her family at least had the decency of apologizing to you. Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my channels for you to watch absolutely free. So please consider subscribing to me on Rumble and on YouTube. Both will be linked in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, consider subscribing to PattSun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.